Hello, today is Monday, January 3rd, 2022. I'm Joe Schmidt from TC2, and this is Staying Connected. At TC2, we often work with the world's largest buyers of ICT services, but every now and then we have the opportunity to work with smaller mid-market customers and help them buy their technology. Now, mid-market doesn't necessarily mean requirements are less complex, but the dynamics of a procurement are different. Scale matters. So buying technology, if you're not an industry behemoth, it necessitates a different perspective and approach. On today's podcast, I'm joined by my buddy Tony Mangino. Tony is a fellow TC2 director and has good experience helping a few of our mid-market clients realize the maximum value from their ICT procurements. Hey, Tony, thanks for joining me today and Happy New Year.
Thanks, Joe. It's good to be back on Staying Connected, and Happy New Year to you.
So why don't you start us off by explaining the different perspective and the different approach required for mid-market deals?
Sure, you bet. So the key is to manage toward incremental improvement in the commercial structure while still capturing cost reductions. The reality is that most of these mid-market deals include 36-month circuit or service terms, which really constrain the flexibility of the customer to adapt to the needs of their business or to leverage transformational technologies. These take-or-pay type deals are designed to keep you beholden to your incumbent supplier in perpetuity. So the first task is to move away from these circuit and service terms where you can and into an overall revenue commitment framework. In all likelihood, an annual revenue commitment versus a term commitment, which would be ideal, but is likely not achievable considering the size of the deal.
You know, that makes perfect sense. But if I'm in this mid-market strata, how do I achieve that incremental improvement?
Well, that's a good question. And the answer is the same that we consistently advise our largest, most sophisticated customers who are looking to drive change. You have to approach the market with an RFP. That said, there are some nuances to the approach that are worth mentioning.
Okay, so what do you have?
Well, first, something that will help is to scale down the requirements in your RFP document. We're not trying to boil the ocean here. Remember, incremental improvement is the name of this game. Next, cast a wide net in terms of the number of suppliers you invite to the RFP. You want to capture as much compliance to your key terms as possible, even if that doesn't all come in one response initially. Be careful to not get caught up in analysis paralysis, though. A triage approach to response evaluation is your friend here.
You know, I see that a lot. I try to get our clients to focus on what's really important. Saving money? Yeah, you bet. But also the pain points. You know, those pain points need to be real and they need to be measurable, not just, I don't like that supplier, or I heard from someone who was told by someone else that this happens all the time.
Yeah, that's right. Fact-based approach is the way to get what you need for sure. Continuing on, focus on improving, or in some cases, even establishing key business terms. For example, the commitment structure I mentioned earlier, getting an optional renewal year, improving your payment terms, that's a big one these days, and maybe even getting a transition period at the back end or a rate review. You'll need to pay particular attention to implementation financial assistance in these deals too, Joe. That means having a financial model that enables you to accurately quantify circuit costs in the transition. Without accurate modeling and realistically assessing your team's ability to even execute on its transition, the business case for your migration can unravel pretty quickly.
So, you know, Tony, this industry, the technology, and the suppliers, they're constantly changing. Would there be any opportunity perhaps to leverage smaller regional suppliers in these types of opportunities?
Absolutely, Joe. In fact, you'll need to in order to drive competitive tension with some of the larger players that will likely participate in your opportunity as well. Depending on your geographic footprint and scope of services, should look to invite smaller regional players to this opportunity. Cuts both ways, though. These types of suppliers are typically not as well versed with the disciplined type of sourcing program you'll be running or the type of commercial framework you'll be managing towards. Potential upside, though, is that you'll likely have the ability to engage with more senior executives within these types of organizations that can help their account teams be successful.
You know, that's a good point. We see that in wireless procurements all the time. AT&T and Verizon, they are rock solid providers that know how to work with enterprise buyers. But T-Mobile, generally they have the best rate plan pricing, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you get the commercial constructs that you want. Now, we'll probably be talking about wireless a lot in 2022, so I, Tony, shall leave it there for now.
Yeah, I think wireless and so many other technologies are going to make a big impact in the year ahead. That's why it's also important to understand both the history with the incumbent provider, what's working and what's not, and the strategic vision for the future of your network. These details will be important when developing the strategy and the narrative and really framing up that opportunity for both incumbents and non-incumbents.
Okay, thank you, Tony. This has been a great discussion and a nice way to kick off the new year. If you're a buyer of technology and feel that you may lack the leverage needed to negotiate a market-leading deal, we would love to help you out. So please contact Tony, me, or any of our LB3 and TC2 colleagues by sending us an email or giving us a call. You can also stay current by subscribing to these podcasts, by checking out our websites, and by following us on LinkedIn.